Welcome to episode 10 of Interview with Scientist series at the Addictive Brain. Today we have Dr. Christian Moro with us all the way from Australia. Dr. Christian Moro is an associate professor and the science domain lead for the medical program at Bond University. We popularly know him on Instagram through his account Physiology with Christian, where he shares a lot of exciting videos and techniques of teaching. In today's episode, we will talk about his research, new techniques that he uses to teach medicine, and tips and tricks for new students and scientists. Welcome, Dr. Christian. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been good. It's been good to catch up finally.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep losing that phone the whole way
That's
through.
okay.
So look, I'm a laboratory-based physiology, pharmacology researcher and a bit of immunology. So
Okay.
I do like the lab, but I also love our teaching. And that's one thing I think that I've really enjoyed on Instagram is I've probably been a little bit slack actually with the research posts, what we're doing, what our students are doing. So that's something we are going to try and improve in the next year and a bit.
Yep.
But it's, so I look at urinary tract, the lower urinary tract, urinary bladder, why it contracts, why we get overactive bladder, which is in about 16% of people.
Yep.
Overactive bladder and then underactive bladder, trying to work out new therapies. And it's interesting because there's a lot of, I look into the pharmacology, so trying to find new drug targets, which is fun. There are a lot of physical therapies that can work. Pelvic floor exercises can work. So it's not that we're against the physios working on it and the OTs and the occupational therapists and the continence nurses, but it's more trying to find options, trying to find, in pharmacology, why does a muscle act weird? Why does... what's the underlying mechanisms causing overactive bladder and overzealous contractions? And that then leads in some cases to incontinence. It leads to being up at night, the lifestyle, you have to get an office near the bathroom, that kind of thing. So trying to help people in the lab. And then in regards to teaching, trying to make a fun kind of in-person experience, which has been fun because for years in our med and biomed programs, we've been working on bringing technology into the classroom. And so we thought, that's great then, when everyone moved online, let's just translate it to an online curriculum. But it didn't translate that well. Techniques like virtual reality don't really end up linking well because you can't just go home if you haven't got a headset, you can't just go home and learn from VR. AR is clunky. It doesn't work on, the AR that I do doesn't work on Apple phones. So we can, I just don't. Apple licenses is an extra cost. So it's one of those things now trying to find technology in the last year, which has been a big amount of time, trying to find technology that can translate between the online and the face-to-face classroom. And so that's my two areas of research: medical education research or science education research, and physiology and pharmacology of the urinary bladder.
That's great. That's an awesome combination of all the three fields.
It's been good. It's been nice.
So what kind of techniques do you use for teaching? Like VR is one of them.
So I'm not very good at drawing. And that's a big limitation trying to teach physiology and sort of introductory anatomy. And so, the textbook illustrations are very 2D. The 3D, like the models we get, the silicon models we get in the sort of anatomy labs are always the same person. It's just that person A. So how then do we teach disease? How do I show that multiple sclerosis has lesions and where, and how do we talk about the function of different organs? And that's where it gets a bit tricky. So I moved into, at the start, virtual reality through, I've got a few, where have I got? I've got headsets here somewhere. Here we go. Like using these things, the Oculus headsets. So VR is good, but it's, thank you for that. Help me with my class. Thanks. It's heavy. So VR's been fun. There are a few problems with it, but we started looking at VR because we can bring in a 3D model that's different. And as an educator, I can create the model and we can add diseases, we can add disorders, I can add dysfunction, move things around in 3D space. So that's been great. And so the VR's been good. The problem is, though, that you block out, by definition, virtual reality, you block out the eyes, the ears, everything's in that space. So you're in an entire, you're in an entire virtual environment. which is the
Okay.
point of virtual reality.
Yes.
Some students like to learn, as they're learning, they like to write, take notes and things. And so teaching an entire concept in physiology through VR sounds cool, but in
Yes.
theory, people aren't able to take notes, not able to write.
Yes.
And so it's funny because we moved into this tech thinking that it's going to be the new thing. Let's teach through VR. And you do it, and the students are like, yeah, no, I can't learn. I'm not learning well from that.
Okay.
So we then thought, all right. So I thought, what else is there? And this is where augmented reality comes in. I'll show you something. So
Okay.
AR, let me turn it on for a minute, but
Yep.
I've got a lot of stuff in the office always, so just grab
That's
anything.
okay.
All right, so here's an example. Here we go. Here's an AR app. So
Yep.
you get a marker and you have the screen and you put this in front of the screen, and it's not going to work now because it's live, but often, there we go. That turns
Yep.
into a brain.
Yes.
And then you can move that around, you can tap on it, you can hear different things. We've got little audio podcasts that run. So I can have this animated in a way that this becomes like, in this case, I think this is a stroke lesson actually. Here, I'll put this on.
Welcome to this
I wonder if you can hear it.
reality lesson
Yeah.
on stroke.
Yeah.
This is a model
Oh, hang on, it should highlight.
of the large
Okay. So.
Yeah, okay. There you go, a little bit's highlight as we talk. So you can dissect, you can go through it.
Okay.
The best thing about it, same 3D models, so I
Yeah.
can't draw, but I can give 3D models in AR, but you can work at your own pace. You're still in the classroom.
Yes.
So you can still be there as we're talking, your other students are around, you can communicate. So AR has been a really cool little extra bonus part of learning, which I've found gives us the benefits of virtual reality, the benefits that I'm looking for in teaching.
Yeah.
And the also additional benefits of being able to have your hands relatively free. You are holding onto the model, so your
Yes.
hands aren't fully free. And that's where things like, let me find you one of them, the HoloLens.
Okay.
So this is the new thing we're moving into. And it does feel a little bit like, is Christian just am I just simply chasing the next tech? But
Yeah.
it's not, because it's more out of necessity. VR was what we're going to use.
Yes.
We tried it, didn't work. Students couldn't really learn. They couldn't take notes, which meant plus they were getting a bit dizzy sometimes. I get a bit
Yep.
dizzy in it as well.
Yep.
And so AR then was the next step. AR is good, but you're in the room, but your hands aren't free. And so HoloLens is one where it's AR, but it goes on your head. And they call it mixed reality, but it goes on your head, which means your hands are free. You can interact with it. You're in the classroom.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm working on at the moment, and I hope it's coming across that it's very much necessity. Like it's not a chase for new tech. It's this
Yes.
sort of bridges the gap of what I'm looking for, which is a way to show sort of animated 3D specimens that above and beyond what I can draw on a whiteboard.
Okay.
And above and beyond what's in the lecture notes. So the goal is to sort of I've made a couple of different apps. The goal is to make these apps and then share them for free. Just put them up
Okay.
online. I've got a few. If you Google the King's Request Anatomy and Physiology game, there's a few little free games there. So
Yes. Yeah, I've checked
just
that.
trying to, yeah, it's good. Just trying to
Yes.
make things that people can learn from and slowly just develop a bit of like a stack of useful and helpful resources that people can use
Yes.
everywhere. And that's kind of the benefit. I don't want to I've got no interest in making any money from these or anything like that. I just want to share them and have them used in our class. And I get a big kick out of that. And that's where Instagram's been good. Instagram's been a nice place to just share bits of knowledge, what we're doing.
Yes.
Um,
Definitely.
So also publish I did a little bit of photography. I'm getting back to photography, so you can expect more photos of sunrises.
Yes.
Not at all relevant, but whatever, it's fine.
No, those are beautiful pictures.
Not at all relevant, but I love just somewhere to post that kind of stuff. So
I see.
That'll be good.
So do you use a combination of both virtual reality, AR, and papers?
Yes, and all to supplement. So I don't replace any teaching with this stuff. So most of it at the moment is little stations on the side.
Okay.
So we'll have, you'll be in an anatomy lab or the physiology, sort of the same place, but you'll be in the laboratory with the plastic models. We also use things like, I'll have the 3D printed stuff out, little 3D printer that
Yes.
gets sort of,
Brains
nice
on-
and colored.
yeah.
Actually, this is sort of a fun activity to try and I'm going to try and do more of this where we get sort of 3D printed art like that and then try and paint it with the right blood vessels and try and work out which is the veins, which is the arteries.
Okay.
So using the normal models and then also having a station where you might go and spend 5 minutes on AR. You might go and spend 6 minutes in a HoloLens app. come and do 5 or 6 minutes in VR. So it doesn't really take over. It's not replacing any teaching. I still like having that hands-on, us talking and communicating. But something like the brainstem is a good example where we'll use VR and AR and HoloLens, because it's so small you can't really see it on the cadavers. You can't really see it in any of the models. So it's nice then to blow that up to a big size. Put it in a 3D model, go and see all the different areas, have little bits highlight. Takes 5 minutes of your time. And that's a good example where the technology can facilitate and add, which has been fun. So that's been a little bit of the goal of that thing, to supplement but not to replace any teaching. Will it? I see that's one of the issues with VR, is it is replacing a lot of teaching in many schools. I don't know why. Our research shows that it doesn't harm. It's not, other than a little bit of dizziness. But the research we've done over the last sort of 5-6 years in this has been that it's not better, it's not worse. The experience is different, but you're learning regardless. So there's no real need to use VR or AR, but it is a bit more fun. I don't know. We're in this transition where it's done so differently around the world, we don't fully know if we should be moving to tech in physiology, anatomy, and those disciplines or not. But we'll see what happens. I like it. I'm having fun. I find that nice to supplement while also, so you do a bit of everything, and it's nice that it's self-directed. You can pause the podcast, you can keep them going, you can watch them sort of in the background. So it works for me.
So on this line, I would like to ask, can this replace classroom teaching at some point, like VR and AR?
I hope not. It's the same, I guess. You can just, it's like, can you just go and watch YouTube videos and learn the content? Maybe. I'm an academic, so I'm very biased towards no, you need a teacher. I feel like it depends. Part of our role now, we don't actually say teachers anymore, we say educators, because what we do in academia is provide not just like lectures, which are sort of a minor part of the curriculum, like an hour here and there, but it's the content, it's the online resources, it's the way we structure the slides and the content, that we're really trying to give that holistic, here's how you learn it, here are the basics, fundamentals, let's build it up and let's grow. So that's we're doing a lot more than just teaching. And so I guess, can the VR replace like lectures? Maybe, I guess, but the point's still going to be where are you using it and why. The academic still needs to be in the background, sort of saying why, where's this why we're learning this at this time, why we're learning that at that time. So what it's not good at is variability. When you come and you have a cadaveric specimen or a human body, or you use other people, or even just look at your own muscles in your own arm and someone else's in that sort of space, we're all a little bit different. The heart can be a little bit fatty, or a little bit big, or a little bit small, or it can be moved out of space. And particularly, my research area is the lower urinary tract. It can be very different post-pregnancy. Things move around. It can be different in different people. It can be different shapes and areas. So that variability isn't taught very well. And that's one thing that using the 3D models alone, you can add variability, but it's not that easy to. You got to have different models, and you don't get the surprises that you tend to get with human specimens and contact. So could you become like career ready? Could you become medical ready after just learning from virtual environments? Theoretically, yes, but I haven't yet seen it where, no one's making 100 different. The variability you get in a human body compared to what you get online, unless someone's going to go and make 50 different models of every different part of it. It's the surprises you get, and we have everything from, you try and explain something like a bent spine in VR, it just doesn't come across as well. Whereas in a human, they stand up and you feel the back of it, and oh, there it is. You get it straight away. So I think it could end up replacing a lot of teaching in some universities and schools, but it probably shouldn't, because there's other little things that don't. Would be my answer. Once again, very biased, because my role is being the guy in the middle teaching. But I've found it supplements very well. It doesn't really replace teaching
Replaces the
as
teaching.
well.
Okay. So
Now, vet's a good one, actually. Physio, I just mentioned that. But,
yes.
veterinary lectures, see, that's different because the variability is largely animalistic. And then rather than, learning every different variable of the human body, you've got to go and learn different animals and how they work and their sizes and their growth patterns. So, I mean, that's an example where maybe you can't access chickens and horses and things every week. So that's perhaps a thing where VR could work. I'm thinking more in sort of biomedical and medical studies where it's humans and we have a lot of humans in the class. Let's use them. Let's look at the muscles. Let's see how it works. And
yes.
So that's been fun. I've liked that.
Definitely.
And that's kind of where we're heading. And that's sort of where the research is heading as well.
Yes.
Into looking into that. The other thing we haven't done much of is using the tech to describe our research. So it's good describing content in classes, but I wonder if there's a better way to showcase what we're doing.
Yeah.
As you'll know, we tend to write in publications and papers in a way that's relatively hard to read for most people.
Yes.
We try our best to do it and sort of write colloquially, but you just can't with those calculations and things you have to include. And
yes.
the statistics and the graphs and you try and put a witty title in, reviewers don't like it. So we do end up having that kind of overall need to communicate our primary ground level exploratory research better.
Yes.
And maybe that's the next area we can do it. We haven't yet tried to see if it's worth, can we educate the public on science experiments or not? Do they need to be, but do we need to explain our research? I want to explain my research, but still, even then, is it better that you hear about it after experiments have been repeated, after there's a lot more evidence towards them? I don't know. So there's a lot of questions there, which we'll have to see what happens. The last thing then now is trying to maintain what's going to happen past sort of 2020. Are we going to have most university courses that are part online, part on campus? And what does that entail? So not all of our technology that we've been using, very little of it translates well to online.
Online, yeah.
So that's the next question. What happens next year?
Yes. So the COVID has taught us a lot of new things that we can do from home, work from home. So
I've really enjoyed it. I've been watching a lot of Twitch streams, the gaming streams. I think we can use a lot of these little animations on the screen that's live and little things and question marks and
yeah.
The only thing that's hit me with live streaming a little bit is the latency. So in a lecture, when you are asked a question, usually you want to answer it straight away. But
yes,
I know, trying to stream live to classes over YouTube, it's a minute and a half delay in some cases from questions that are coming through. Twitch isn't that much better. They have an ultra low latency mode, but it's still a minute. Yeah. So that's one thing that, using that kind of tech for live sessions isn't there yet in teaching. It's there in gaming and that sort of things. But that's one other little thing I'd like to do more of. Zoom's been great. I mean, we're talking live now, but I'm thinking more the more popular platforms haven't been useful yet in live teaching, but that'll be, YouTube's better because it's really high quality, high FPS.
Yeah.
You can show videos much easier. So there's benefits to that. But at the moment, I know all the educators are stuck on relatively poor quality platforms. Or not poor quality platforms that can handle the stresses of 100, 200 to 1,000 students watching live.
Yes.
So there's a lot of improvement needed there.
Yep. But hopefully we'll have some good applications coming forward.
Yeah.
So
that's been one thing. And looking at like the development of something like Microsoft Teams, I still can't use Teams, but I can see it getting much better.
Yeah.
I can really see it improving. They're adding little features. So the apps that are working for live education sessions are getting better. Okay. And that's been one benefit.
Mm-hmm. So my last question for you is, what tips do you have for students and teachers on keeping students engaged, like the students who teach, research assistants or research associates who teach?
One of the problems, let's talk about research first. One of the problems in engaging students in research and teaching them about research is the fact that science, by nature, is repetitive.
Yes.
You could have the coolest project in the world, and you still have to repeat it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's no matter what it is, you're going to get sick of it after 3 years of doing so. And that's one of the things that we just, you go in there and churn it out. But, do you love your research? I do. I like the outcomes, but day by day, it's the same thing over and over again. The machines don't work. You troubleshoot it, it finally works. You repeat it again. So it's tricky to engage. And I think we don't, once we sort of realize that engagement is very much looking at the big picture. What's the overall aim? Why are we repeating it? What is the benefit of repeating over and over again? And why does it matter? So the big picture stuff's helpful in research training.
Yes.
In regards to teaching, I like to do a mix. I think it's very much of using hands-on experiential kind of learning. I think people are very against what we call it didactic. They're very against the lecture format where you just speak and narrate.
Yes.
There is probably still a case for that.
Yeah.
I don't, I still like to learn. Just for a minute, stop and tell me, what do I need to learn? Just tell me. I'll just sit here and listen. I think there still is a part for that. So when I think if I'm going to do an hour of speaking, I then make sure I have sort of 2 or 3 hours of hands-on labs attached to it, because that's the hands-on stuff, and that's important. So that's one of the things about engaging, is just use those different modes of delivery, different modes of learning. Technology, the tech that we use is 5-6 minutes at a time. It's not much. You add it on. It helps if you are an auditory learner. I know we don't have those sort of learning styles as much anymore, but if you enjoy, or if you're in the sort of mood just to hear information and absorb it, then great. Having a different range of teaching in a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour session does seem to help.
Okay.
And that's the big thing. Just mix it up a little bit. Add a worksheet here and there. You can be simple stuff. If you're teaching, do something hands-on, some sort of activity. PowerPoint slides and talking does have a benefit. I can learn from that, but you don't want to do it for the whole thing, the whole session, no matter how long it is. So little hands-on activities, little mixes. Okay. And they're the hard things to do. That's the hard stuff, and that's what takes time, thinking and the confidence to say, I'm going to stop talking and do an activity. Yes. It's the fun part of teaching, but it's also the harder bit that takes time to get used to. But it's worth it for everyone. When you get used to that as the educator, it's better. It's better for the students. We all enjoy it more. So think about what little extra activities and things you can do on the side. Yes.
Well, we thank you very much for your tips and tricks and for your time today. Fun. Yes, it was really fun.
No worries. Thanks for that. And we'll be in touch. Yeah, we'll talk to you later. And you're doing a great thing. I love how you're bringing the scientists together.
Thank you.
You're doing a really good job. It's been fun watching and being part of it. So
thank you very much. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.